Welcome to Elevate Your Ride, the podcast dedicated to elevating your performance in the saddle. I'm Ellie, your personal trainer.
And I'm Lauren, your mindset coach.
So, today we want to talk about a topic that I think is very important and something that a lot of equestrians struggle with. And that's what to do when you're just not having fun anymore, when your hobby starts to feel like work, when you're dreading going out to the barn, when you're not excited, you're not inspired, you're just kind of in this phase and in this stage where you're not enjoying your hobby. And that is never a good feeling. So, Lauren and I kind of just wanted to chat about and give you guys some tools for what you can do when that happens, when you feel burnt out, that sort of stuff. So, Lauren, what are kind of the main things that people should focus on or self reflect on when they feel that they're just not enjoying horses anymore?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So, the first thing that we want to do is try to identify the source of why you're feeling like you're not having a good time with horses. Because if you're trying to tell yourself, well, I'm just not having fun anymore, and trying to find ways to quote unquote have fun, you're just putting a band aid on the issue rather than getting directly to the source, addressing it, and then you won't even need a band aid because you're going to heal it from the inside out, right? So, a good question to ask yourself is, why am I not having fun? And really have some self reflection here and be honest with yourself. Don't feel guilty or like you need to hold back. If you're not having fun because you have a 2-hour commute to the barn, that's totally realistic. Are you not having fun because your goals are greater than your horse's skills? Be honest with yourself on that. Are you not having fun because you just really want to try a different event? Like, these are all things that you need to be able to sit down, look at yourself and say, why am I feeling this way? And a great thing to do is to be able to have either a trainer, a great friend, a family member, somebody to bounce all these ideas off of. I know that there's plenty of times where I'll come to you and say, "Man, I've got this going on. What do you think about it?" And it's just so nice to have somebody to be able to just express your feelings to, who are going to let you kind of air it out and never complain without trying to find a solution, but being able to just express what's going on in your life. What do you kind of look at with that?
Well, I totally agree. I think that everybody needs a sounding board and not just any sounding board, but like a safe place sounding board, right? Like, I know that if I come to you about an issue that I'm having, you're not going to go and spill it on Facebook or tell everybody else. You know what I mean? Like, I think that you need to be a little bit picky and choosy about who you choose to share your concerns with and that sort of stuff. But once you find that person, I think it's really important to confide in them. But then also, like you said, not just dump onto people because I think that when you get into that phase where you're just so overwhelmed and you just feel like everything's wrong and you're not having fun in any piece of your hobby, then you start to dump onto people and that's never like a good thing. That's not having the growth mindset that we talk about all the time. That's more having the fixed mindset of, "Oh my gosh, everything's terrible. It's never going to get better." So, when you go and you talk to somebody who's your sounding board, you need to be in an open mindset to kinda listen to the feedback that they give you and be able to self-reflect with all of it. I think that that is really, really important to have when you start to have all these overwhelming feelings of, "Oh my gosh, I'm not enjoying my hobby right now."
Yeah, and you might not like what they have to say to you, and that's
Yeah.
okay. Sometimes you have to sit and process it for a day or a couple days and say, "Wow, they really do have a point because of X, Y, and Z." And then take that growth mindset and say, "Okay, so what am I gonna do to be able to move forward and fix this?"
Yeah, for sure. And then kinda going along with that same idea, it's really easy to get really overwhelmed by horses. It's I mean, it's an all-consuming hobby, right? It's a lifestyle. And I think that sometimes people get so burnt out and so unhappy with it, they just quit altogether or they take, like, a 6-month break instead of trying to identify, like, what specifically about it are you not enjoying anymore? You know what I mean? Like, instead of just giving an all or nothing mindset, trying to pinpoint what exactly is going wrong and what can you do about it?
Yeah, and like you said, it's all consuming, from the daily care of the horse to the preparation to the travel to the show, preparing for the show, actually showing all the stresses of competition and everything. It's really hard, especially when you try to tell yourself that you have to take the burden and handle it all yourself. You have to handle every single little task all by yourself. We recently did an article about letting go of control, and this would be a big thing about being able to allow yourself to have more fun is by letting go control of some of these areas, right? Maybe you and some friends go to a horse show together. Let one person be in charge of feeding in the morning and another person be in charge of feeding at night. Or one person maybe brings breakfast for everyone. Or just kind of spread the weight and don't feel like you have to carry it all. You don't have to be a martyr in this sport, right? Like it's okay to say you can't do it all because you can still have a really good time and build community. And when you ask for help in these things, you are going to strengthen those bonds with your barn mates and you are going to be able to just have more fun and enjoy your time with them because you're not going to be so stressed out.
Yeah, for sure. I think something when you're stressed out, not really enjoying the hobby, you have to be careful of not like spreading yourself too thin, especially when you're not really enjoying it. Sometimes in this hobby, I feel like it's really easy to get not necessarily taken advantage of, but it's way too easy to spread yourself too thin. And when you're already starting to have those feelings of burnout, spreading yourself even more thin is just going to push you over the edge even more.
Absolutely. It's totally okay to say no. As hard as it is, because I feel like a lot of us are people pleasers, we're always aiming to be the best that we can and satisfy those around us. And so, but remember, it's totally okay and acceptable to say no. So that way you can show up as your best self for everybody around you the next day.
So, what can people do when they feel like they're in that situation?
So, another thing that you can do is just set new goals for yourself. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed because your current goal is to win the level 3 horsemanship at the world show, but we don't quite have a lead change yet or something along those lines, right? Where maybe your goal is just greater than your current skill set and that is overwhelming and it's not going to be fun because it feels like it's not attainable. So set a new goal. Maybe your goal is to get a +3 on your F&E or your new goal is to be able to do a rundown without feeling nervous, right? Have goals that are slightly out of reach, but something that you can accomplish within the next 6 months.
Yeah.
Talk to your friends, talk to your trainers and say, "Okay, what's a realistic goal for myself?" You can have those long-term goals of winning the level 3 at the AQHA World Show and whatever your event is, but let's break it down into 6-month goals that are going to set me up to be able to do that in the future.
Yeah, like, when you set your goal, you still need to like, that goal still needs to be within your wheelhouse.
Yes. Yeah, exactly, exactly, and I think to your horse's wheelhouse because that can also be
Yes.
not very fun when you're trying to push your horse beyond its capabilities. I
Well,
think that's
that's
a
a good
really
point. There's more than one wheelhouse. There's your skill set, your horse's skill set, your trainer, and honestly, your location, your budget, your family life, like, there's infinite wheelhouses, and your goals need to be within all of them.
Hey, Elevate Your Ride fans. Are you loving our show and looking for a way to show your support? Check out our line of Elevate Your Ride merchandise. From stylish t shirts to cozy hoodies to journals and hats, we have everything you need to represent your favorite podcast. Ready to gear up? Click on the Buy Our Merchandise Here link in the podcast notes, or head on over to our website, elevateyourride.co, and click on the Store tab. Thank you for your support. Make sure to like, follow, and share our platform with your friends. Absolutely, right? Because man, I would love to go to a show every single month, but between work and finances, I can't, so you have to pick and choose,
Right.
right? So, it's really important to not let that take away from your fun. Still just say, "You know what? At least I can do what I can," and be really thankful and grateful for that. And I think that's a big part of it too when you stop having fun. Usually, it's because we stop being grateful for the things that we can do. And so that's a really good practice to implement is picking out the positives in your ride or in your circumstances and be thankful for what you do have going on that's exciting.
I totally agree with that. If you start to take your horse for granted or take your significant other for granted, like things like that, it just all starts to fall apart.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I know that you're going through something similar right now where you just got engaged and you're going to be getting married, and so for a short period of time, your priorities are going to shift. You maybe aren't going to
Yeah.
be able to go to certain shows, and so how do you come to terms with that with your goals with the horses?
This year has been a little tough for me. So last year, literally all I did was go to horse shows. I think I went to 1 or 2 horse shows a month literally the entire year. I think I went to like 12 shows last year. Like just whatever show my trainer went to, I also went. And it was great and I loved it. And it got me really inspired and I was really, really excited. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I want to go lease a horse or I want to go buy a horse. Like I really, really want to get back into like having my own show partner and not just kind of bouncing around the barn and showing whatever's available. Like, I have really, really missed having my own partner. So, after we got back from level 1, I was talking with my trainer about, "Hey, like, I wanna lease a horse. This is what I want to do. I'm gonna make it happen. I'll try and get some extra clients. Like, I'm gonna work hard and I'm gonna make it happen." And then, like, 2 weeks later, I got engaged. And so that kinda threw a little bit of a wrench in my plan because, we also decided to get married in under 4 months after we got engaged. So, it was just a little bit of a whirlwind trying to figure that out, and then I've just been wedding planning ever since. And in July, I think I went almost a whole month without going to the barn and riding, and I haven't done that. The only time period that I've gone that long without riding was when I've been, like, injured or when my vertigo started or things like that. Like, I go out to the barn and I ride every week, like, multiple times a week. It's not like, riding is not something that I take breaks from, and so that was really, really tough. And then we're trying to move, and my fiancé is trying to get his job because he just graduated from college. Like, there's been a lot of uncertainties in life for me this summer, and so I've had to now put that really exciting goal of wanting to lease or potentially buy my next horse on hold because life is happening. And so it's just been a crazy summer for me. And I've just had to come to terms with it's not going to be crazy forever. And I just need to kind of put that goal on the back burner, but I'm not going to let it fade away. But I'm also not going to stretch myself too thin and make that goal happen right now because I can't. I can't fit it on my plate. I can't fit it on my plate with my time or my energy or my finances. So I have to wait. And I've just had to learn how to be okay with that and I don't know how long I'm going to have to wait until I can make that goal come to fruition, but I know that it will and I'm kind of just have to find comfort in that when I'm ready, I'll do it,
Absolutely. And the things that you have going on are still exciting, right? So it makes it a little bit
right?
easier, but it's still hard when you do have an opportunity in front of you, but you have to say not yet.
Oh, it was so hard because literally the horse that I've had my eye on in the barn since I came to that barn 4 years ago is available, and I finally had the opportunity and I had to say no. No for now, you know what I mean?
Right.
And,
Just not yet.
that
Not yet.
just not yet, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like, seriously?" It's right in front of me, it's right under my nose, and
Yeah.
now I can't do it? Like, so that's been kind of hard, but I've just there's still riding, just not as consistently as I would like to. I'm still making it as much of a priority as I can. I'm not going to as many horse shows. Like, I think I've only been to 2 horse shows this year, and I don't know that I'm gonna make it to any more this year, maybe 1 or 2 if I get lucky. So, that's kinda hard when, like, life changes, but I think because the joy that I get out of horses is not from like, yes, showing and competing is a part of it, but the joy that I get from horses is the connection and the trust and the finesse and the relationship that I build with the horse, like, that's where I get my happiness from horses, and because I'm still able to get that, I think that that's why I haven't, like, gotten burnt out with everything else going on in my life. Like, I feel like it'd be really easy with everything I have going on in my life to just say, "You know what? I'm just gonna take a pause and I'm not gonna ride until, January or something like that," right? Like, that would be the easy way out. But I know that that would not be helpful. Then I lose the thing that I get the most joy out of. I I don't wanna say that that's the most joyful thing in my life, never mind.
Right.
Um, then I'm losing something that brings me a lot of joy in my life, and so I'm making sure that I'm still letting my hobby be fun, but I'm not stretching myself too thin with it, and I think that that's you have to find that balance.
Are you looking for that extra competitive edge, struggling with show pin anxiety, or looking to set and achieve meaningful goals with your horse? Schedule a session with me, Lauren, your dedicated mindset coach. As an experienced competitor, I understand the mental demands required to excel at the highest level, and I'm here to support you in building a plan to help you stay accountable and reaching those goals. For more information, check out laurencervelli.com or click on the website link in our show notes. Let's work together to elevate your ride. Yeah. Have you been able to find other ways to stay involved with the horses? Whether it's, I mean, I know we do the podcast and we get to interview a lot of great people. And I personally, I get a lot of joy out of hearing about their successes and what they get involved with the horses. But are there other things that you do to feel like you're still connected?
So, I mean, I go out to the barn and I ride twice a week, but other than that, I work out with my trainer twice a week. So even though I'm not going to the barn as consistently as I normally would, I'm still getting to like be involved and like know what's going on in the barn because even if I don't go to the barn, I still see my trainer virtually twice a week for our workouts. So that is really nice. I think if I didn't have that, I would feel like way more disconnected from the barn. Every day, I'm still working out. I'm still, doing my physical therapy exercises. I've really, really taken a hard look at, like, my posture lately, and I've really been trying to implement, like, how can I have better posture, like, throughout my entire day? There's been something that I've noticed that hasn't been quite clicking in my riding, and I've noticed it's because of the way that I stand and I sit all day long, and so I've really been focusing on how can I make that piece better in my daily life so that way it'll translate better into my riding. So I'm not necessarily doing extra exercises or extra workouts for it. I'm just trying to be more mindful about it. And hopefully, when I get back to riding consistently, that piece will get better and I'll be able to keep going and keep improving on my riding instead of, oh, I kind of took a couple months where riding was a bit on the back burner and now I'm behind. You know what I mean? So I'm still making sure that I'm doing things to further myself ahead in my riding.
Absolutely. So in that kind of vein, that reminded me of when I was a kid back in high school when I wasn't able to be practicing showmanship every day because my horse wasn't at my house. I would practice my showmanship walk going to and from all my different classes. And so I would stand up tall and roll my shoulders back and think about like how I wanted to walk with a purpose. I'm
Yeah.
sure people
Yeah.
thought I was so weird, but you know what?
Oh, who cares?
It paid off.
You know what? That's the thing though, is like if you want to be great, then I think you have to have the confidence to say, you know what? I don't really care. I'm just going to do this anyway.
Yeah, how you do anything is or how you do everything is how you do anything. What's that saying?
I don't know. Something like that.
Anyways, but yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's a way of just incorporating it into your life, and I know for me, like I said, I'm not able to go to quite as many shows as I want to. Where I live, I'm very fortunate. I'm close by to some of the major shows. So I went up to the youth world and I went and cheered on some friends. And so that was a way to be able to still be involved and cheer on Dixie, which we've talked about on the podcast, and kind of feel excited to sit in the stands and watch them go and have fun. And then a couple weeks ago, I went down to a trainer in Texas and got some different ideas and took a trail clinic. And so, even though I'm not necessarily showing as much as I want, I'm trying to still expand my knowledge base and have a lot of fun that way and just kind of go back to finding joy in the learning phase. And I think
Yeah.
that that's something that a lot of us can do when we're starting to feel like we're not having fun anymore. Go learn something new. like that's going to excite you and invigorate you and think, "Oh my gosh, the world is my oyster because wow, there is so much more to this than I thought." And it's I found it really kind of invigorating to go and get a new perspective.
I think you're totally right. When you start to feel like you're not having fun anymore, you gotta figure out a way to make it fun and exciting again. And, maybe you go and you try a new discipline. If you've never jumped before, go take a lesson on a jumping pony. Maybe go take a lesson from a local reining trainer. Like, go do something that you've never done before and see if you can make it fun again. Like, you have to kinda go back to that feeling of when you're a little girl and you look out in the field and you see a horse and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I wanna ride horses and I wanna have horses someday." Like, you kinda have to go back to that feeling somehow to, like,
Yeah.
to get that spark again.
Well, and 2, and sometimes when you go ride those lesson ponies, then you come back to your horse and you think, "Oh my gosh, I missed you so much. Thank you for everything you do."
Yeah, like, if you're starting to not feel, like, appreciative of the things around you, you're totally right. Go and take a lesson on some crazy Arab or, some super high energy warm blood, and you'll be super happy for your to have your quarter horse back.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's always good to try new things because a lot of times it just makes you appreciate what you have.
Yeah. But, even though both you and I are kind of in stages of life where we're not showing or riding and competing as much as we would like, you and I are both doing things to further our head our riding outside of just the barn. And I
Yeah,
think that that's important, every day when you wake up, have your goals in mind. Even if you can't quite do the things that you want to be doing, what can you do in the meantime? I think that that's really important to do.
absolutely. And like we talked about earlier about maybe your horse doesn't align with your goals. Your horse could also not align with your goals as in your horse is more capable than the goals that you are capable of doing right now. So like with
Yeah.
Dixie, she needed to go be a show horse, but I couldn't go and show all the time. So by moving now to the younger horses that don't need to be or aren't ready to go and show right now, it really fits my current situation because I can still take them to clinics. I can still go ride every day. I can still be having fun and enjoying it and having goals with these horses of them just learning things rather than like a Dixie. She needed to go show, and I wasn't able to help her reach her goals, if that makes sense too.
Yeah, like you and your horse's goals have to align, and if they don't,
Exactly.
then somebody's gonna start not having fun. It's either gonna be you or your horse, or both.
Exactly, because 'cause you're gonna feel like, "Oh, I'm not doing justice to my horse," or if you're maybe more capable than your horse is, you're gonna feel held back. Either way, you just need to make sure that both of you align.
Hi everyone, it's your personal trainer Ellie. If you're looking to become a stronger, more balanced, and flexible rider, I'm here to help. I offer virtual personal training sessions and customized workout plans that you can complete on your own. As a fellow competitor, I understand the physical demands riding requires, and my goal is to help you perform your best for your horse, whether you're preparing for a show or just want to improve your everyday rides. Visit lopindowntherailfitness.com or click on my website tab in the notes of this podcast episode to learn more. Let's work together to elevate your ride. Yeah, for sure. So, can you think of a time back in your past when you were not having fun anymore and you got kind of burnt out? What did you do about it?
Yeah, absolutely. My last year as a youth kid, I was showing, I was doing all the all around events, and I just really put everything I had into it. I got to the youth world. I ended up going off pattern in the prelims, and I just was like, why am I doing this? This isn't fun. And so I went off to college. And when I went to college, my brother was a year older than me, and he happened to have reining horses. And his reining trainer was only 45 minutes away from the college that I was at. And he ended up deciding not to show anymore, and so these horses were there, and so I started taking reining lessons. So, like we talked about earlier of kinda trying a different discipline, I went over there, and it was just so fun to be able to go and be a beginner again because it was hard, but there were enough things that were similar that I was like, "Okay, yeah, we could do this. This would be really fun." And the barn that I went to, it was in a beautiful setting. The people there were so nice and friendly, and it just was really a fun situation all over again, and that really made me excited about showing, right? And so I was that's what I did. So I took a break from the all around for, maybe 5 years and did the reining, and then I came back to the all around, and now I'm really happy that I'm back, but I'm so glad that I took that little break and tried something different because it got me really excited, and it helped me kind of learn so many different new things, and also helped me realize that the all around is really what I love doing. I just needed a little bit of a reset there.
Yeah, for sure. And just because you go in, like you said, just because you went and tried a new discipline doesn't mean that you have to stick with that discipline. Sometimes you just need that inspiration from that other discipline to push you back to where you came from. You know what I mean? And be better than you were
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's so many things that I learned doing the reading that I will take back to the all around now. And but if I would have tried to keep doing the all around, I would have been probably angry and bitter and just maybe quit altogether if I didn't have something to try, because I was pretty burnt out at that point.
Yeah. So you figured out what the problem was and you went and did something else. And then you were able to come back to it. And look at you now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, look at us now. Now I'm like, "Oh, no, I don't ever wanna stop," and I still appreciate the raining, but the all around is really what I truly enjoy, so I'm glad that I was able to do that. Did you ever get to a point where you got burnt out?
Oh, yeah. I almost quit the whole sport altogether during COVID. So, COVID happened, everything started to get really shut down in, like, March, and then so I owned a two-year-old at the time, he bucked me off, I got hurt in April of 2020, so right after COVID had really started. And I couldn't ride for, like, 6 months, couldn't exercise for, like, 6 months, and then because it was during, like, the height of the lockdowns, I couldn't go do anything other than sit at the house and literally do nothing all day long. Didn't have a job, couldn't really do anything, like, it was not a fun period of life, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life anymore. I thought I wanted a career with horses specifically, and then that I decided was not what I wanted to do, so I was just in a really just I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't feel like I had a purpose, and I just wanted to quit horses altogether. I was like, "This isn't working. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. It's too stressful. I can't physically go and do it." It just I got really, really overwhelmed. So during that time period, I couldn't ride at all, but then once I was able to start riding again, I kinda looked at, like, okay, like, why am I not even before my injury happened, I wasn't super happy with the hobby. I was kind of having some doubts with it before that had even happened. And I just realized that I just was not in the right barn environment for me. It just wasn't the right place. And so I moved barns and I'm so glad that I was able to do that because it just totally changed how it just changed everything, and I'm so glad that I was able to make that decision of realizing that I was just not happy where I was, and I just wasn't in the right place, and I was able to find somewhere where I do fit in and it is the right place for me, and I'm very happy there, and I'm glad that I was able to move even though it was really hard on some relationships that I had. I was really glad that I did that in the end. And then ever since I moved there, those feelings all went away of feeling burnt out, feeling like my hobby isn't fun anymore, I'm not enjoying it, like, all those feelings went away once I just went into a new environment. So, sometimes that's what you need, you know? I think you just have to look at what you need and then decide if it's realistic for you to do or not.
Yeah. Who you surround yourself can make such a huge difference on your mental health and your just the whether or not you have a good time. I know that I've definitely been in similar situations too with outside forces making the horses really difficult on me and telling me that maybe that's not something I should be doing. But I knew that in my heart this is what I'm extremely passionate about, and I tried not to do it, and that just made me more miserable, right?
Yeah.
So, by staying true to yourself and saying, "No, I'm not gonna let these outside forces take away my joy. I'm gonna switch environments." And then look at you now, like, you're thriving. You've got people who support
Yeah,
you, people who encourage you, and that can make as big a difference as anything. And it's hard because just because there's a few people in an environment that make it difficult, there can still be people in that environment that you really appreciate and care for, and you're gonna miss them, but they can still be a part of your life even if you do switch trainers, switch barns, switch, situations, right? So, just because you leave one doesn't mean you have to leave everyone.
right. Yeah, and then the other thing that really helped, so I moved barns and I was now in an environment where it was just the right place for me to be, and then once I started thriving again in my hobby, I started thriving again in my life. Like,
Mhm.
once I was able to go back into that new barn and get excited about it, right? Like, it was new horses, it was new people, it was a new trainer, there was lots for me to learn. I started to get really inspired in my hobby, and then that ended up inspiring me to start my business. And so
Yeah.
if I hadn't made that move to that barn and had all that emotional support from my trainer and everybody in the barn, that barn is where I got my very first clients from. And for a short period of time, we actually turned a portion of that barn into a gym. And that was where I worked with my very, very first clients. And so if I hadn't made that move, I have no idea where I would be. I don't know that I would have started my business. I don't know. So because I was able to move into an environment where I started thriving with my hobby, like, every area of my life also started thriving.
Absolutely. Having that secure home base in your relationships, like, gives you so much confidence and courage to try other things in every other area of your life. So, I could totally understand why that would make such a big difference for you.
It's so crazy to look at my life, like, where I was in, like, spring 2020 to even, like, spring 2021. Everything about my life was different, every single thing. Where I was living, what I was doing for work, the barn that I was at, literally everything about my daily life was different, and it was a really big change. It was kinda scary when it happened, but it was what I needed, and now I have a great business and I even have a podcast. So,
Exactly.
I think you just have to be, if you know that you need to make a change, you get kinda gotta have the guts to do it, you know?
Exactly. And make the change, stick it out, but and if that change doesn't work for you, change again. Just keep changing until you find what fits for you. Give it
Yeah,
enough time to know whether or not it's going to work, but don't be afraid, like you said. Don't stick with the devil you know just because you're afraid of the what ifs, because
yeah,
somewhere out there is a situation that is going to help you thrive. And like for you, help you thrive in every area of your life,
yeah,
business, friendships, horses, all of it.
yeah. Like I said in the beginning, it's an all-consuming hobby, and you need to be in the right environment in order for you to thrive in your hobby and in your personal life.
Yeah, and I think too, because it is all consuming, it's a very emotional sport. The competition with the stress, horses get hurt. Horses are moody, right? It's not that you can guarantee you know what's going to happen every single day that you go out to the bar. Go out to the barn. Go to the bar. Go out to the barn.
I hope we're not going to the bar every day.
Well, if you're in the wrong environment, you might be. So But, but yeah, you just don't really know what's going to be happening, and we need that support system from our barn family or our spouse, significant other, and legitimate family to be able to help get us through all these hard times. Otherwise, if we have to carry the load entirely by ourselves, we're just not gonna make it.
Yeah, well said.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to Elevate Your Ride. Find us on Instagram and Facebook, all linked in the podcast notes. We'll see you next time. The information provided by Elevate Your Ride is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended as medical or professional advice. While we discuss health and fitness topics related to equestrians, the content provided through this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. The views expressed by the host and guests on Elevate Your Ride are their own and should not be taken as professional guidance. We strive to provide accurate and up to date information, but we cannot guarantee that the information will be applicable to every individual listener or that it reflects the most current research or guidelines. Before making any changes to your health and fitness routine, we strongly recommend consulting with a qualified professional who can provide personalized advice based on your individual needs and circumstances. Elevate Your Ride and its creators will not be liable for any direct, indirect, consequential, special, exemplary, or other damages arising from the use of information on this podcast. Thank you for listening to Elevate Your Ride. We are committed to providing high quality content and appreciate your trust in us as a source of information for your health and fitness journey.